You are watching HSTV, Herald Standard Television, Helicon Cable Communications.
Following program is being brought to you by the Office of Radio and Television Services at West Virginia University.
Hello, I'm Bob Kent, Director of Career Services at West Virginia University. This series is a collaborative project between the Office of Radio and Television Services at West Virginia University and WVU's Career Services Center. Each week, our career counselor will explore various career options and the types of training and preparation necessary to work in these fields. We hope you find this series useful. We encourage you to give us a call if you have questions about any of the professions we feature on Career Corner. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to Career Corner. I'm Andrea Fleischer, Career Counselor with West Virginia University Career Services Center. Today we're going to talk about careers in print journalism. Print journalism has to do with communication of the written word, such as newspapers and magazines. Today we're going to look at all the careers related to this field. My guests today are Christine Martin, who is Assistant Professor of Journalism at WVU and also the Director of the Writing Program. Welcome. Bob Gay is a photographer at the Times West Virginian. Also, we have Mike Ellis, Executive Editor of the Herald Standard in Uniontown.
Right.
Thank you. And Michelle Sicola, who is Circulation Promotion Manager at Dominion Post. Welcome. I would like to know, Christine, could you tell us about the writing program and the print journalism at WVU?
Yes, we train students to become reporters and editors and photographers at newspapers. We also train students to write for magazines. The print segment of the journalism school actually is the writing segment, and we offer the fundamental course in writing for students in print, broadcast, public relations, and advertising. Mm-hmm. And we also train public relations students to become writers within their field. So essentially we're concerned with training people to become media writers, and in particular training people to become newspaper reporters, editors, and photographers.
Mike, what does a executive editor do?
Executive editor at the Herald Standard, of course, is in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. In our circulation, we cover 3 counties. We put out about 32,000 copies every day. The executive editor is in charge, administrative editor. We have 8 associate editors. We have a managing editor. We have like sports editor, photo chief, so forth and so on. 50 people in the department, and I'm basically responsible for the entire operation of the news department.
Okay. Bob, as a photographer, what's a typical day like for a newspaper photographer?
Well, a newspaper photographer is essentially the frontline troops of the paper, if you will. We our job is unique in that in order to do what we do, we must be at the scene. We can't report by talking to witnesses who are there. We have to be there in person. So a typical day will find us covering a number of feature or sports assignments throughout the community, but at the same time, we always have to be available to instantly respond to any unplanned news events that occur and to go to those scenes and cover that event and take pictures that will show our readers visually exactly what has occurred in their community on any given day.
Michelle, you're in the business side of the field, and what is sales and promotion like for a newspaper?
Well, I develop and implement sales, marketing, and promotional strategies to increase circulation in home delivery, single copy sales, education, and that includes a whole variety of jobs that I'm running in and out doing all the time. I develop different projects that will increase circulation, such as a children's page, KidFo, on Tuesdays. I have a newspaper column on Wednesdays. I do budgets and strategies. I try to get sponsors for things that I would like to do. It just includes about everything that no one else wants to do.
I think it sounds like in the smaller markets, you know, you kind of maybe do everything, so you're trained, get a wide variety of experience.
Yes, it's been a great experience for me. In these 3 years, I've probably gained about 10 years experience. Nowhere else, I think, can you write a column and get sponsors and do that sort of variety of job.
I know you're a WVU graduate at School of Journalism.
Yes. My undergraduate is in advertising, and my graduate is in public relations. So I have a little bit of everything, and that helps me do my job well.
Okay, it looks like it's right. What about a reporter? Did you start out as a reporter, Mike?
Yes, about 3 decades ago or more. Yes, I did. I think, you know, in the journalism field now, competition is pretty fierce for jobs. We're talking about careers here today. And internships, of course, are very important. We look for reporters now who are beginning to try to get into their careers. That's one of the things we look for is practical experience and internships. Now, when I started out in 1961, 62, actually, college degrees weren't all that important in the newspaper field. I mean, you could either do or do without it and still succeed. But now you have to have it. I mean, it's just essential that you have it. And it's not only essential that you have your journalism degree. We prefer a journalism degree, but also you need some practical experience. If you're going to come into our office and you want a reporting job, we really need to look at some clips and some of the things that you've done.
Right, yeah. Did you find that to be true, internships or practical experience, and for people coming in now on the business side?
Yes, I was very fortunate when I was getting my graduate degree. I had a graduate assistantship with the university, so I was able to do public relations work like brochures and put together a portfolio, which I'm sure helped me get my first job at the Dominion Post.
Sounds good. I imagine, you know, photography sounds like, you know, it might be, there aren't very many photographers for a paper, like a whole string of reporters.
No, our newspaper, as an example, we have about a dozen reporters on the street. We have 2 photographers. So the competition for those kind of slots is even tougher. Not only, again, is a degree essential, although many photographers don't necessarily have a degree in journalism, but for our operation, or for most of the ones I've been with over the years, I think it's preferential. But photographers, when they're looking for work, or people who are looking for work as photographers, need to have a demonstrated ability to do the job. Photojournalism is a very high-pressure type of photography. There's no room for error and very little time, usually, to do the job. So experience is critical for people who are wanting to get into the field. Again, school newspapers, volunteering with community publications, getting all of the practical experience, and in the end, just putting film through a camera.
Well, that's good advice to know. Christine, have you seen the field change much in the last years? I'm thinking about the computers.
Well, certainly. Certainly going on a difference with the thrust of journalism. Many newspapers have online services, and reporters need to be aware of that. Potential reporters need to be aware of that and train for that. But also probably the biggest difference is in the jobs of editing. Editors are now producers. They are involved in production of the product with pagination and the use of computers to lay out pages and produce the newspaper. Editors are no longer people who simply deal with copy or write headlines or cut lines under pictures, but they are now involved in the actual production of the newspaper. It's made the job of a copy editor in some ways more difficult, certainly more challenging. It has made a good copy editor a much more desirable person as well. We encourage our students in print to get as much experience in as many areas as possible, and we very much encourage them to learn pagination, to get some internship experience in doing editing work, because editors, and probably Mike would agree, people who know pagination and know it well and are good copy editors are desirable and hard to find, and those jobs are out there. While the jobs for reporters are much more competitive now, there are more jobs for good, trained copy editors, and we're trying to encourage our students to go into those areas and get expertise and internships.
Good, yeah. Is that what your paper uses, the pagination?
Yes, we're fully paginated. And again, in my career, we went from the old hot metal to what they call cold type, and now into pagination. And I observed that the International Typographical Union used to have 500,000 members when I started my career. And I watched it over the years, and this is tied to pagination, go from 300,000 to 200,000 to 50,000 to where it doesn't exist. In other words, the production process has been taken over by the editors, because they can set at a keyboard, they can punch that page up, they can see the photos, they can see the headlines, and they can do it all right there, and punch one button and it goes to page output. Where now actually these pages aren't touched by anybody; they'll go straight to negative, which is a huge technology change over the years. And copy editors, as Chris said, are highly valued, and when you look in the Bible of a journalist, editor, and publisher for jobs, which everybody gets their jobs through there in the classifieds, you'll see job after job for copy editor. Unfortunately, I think maybe Chris can back this up, most young journalists don't want to be copy editors. They would rather be out there chasing the fires and all this kind of stuff, and so the competition is less there. But if somebody is thinking about a career, that certainly is the way to go, because there are the jobs. If you come in trained with pagination and have some experience, you actually have your foot in the door for a job. No question about it.
Good information to know. So that's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
To get in.
Also, I think another change is that because jobs for reporters have become so competitive, and because the role of a newspaper has changed over the past 20 years or so from the vehicle where people got breaking news. In other words, people used to go to their newspaper to find out what happened when it happened. Obviously, with 24-hour cable TV and radio and saturation of the media, people don't rush to their newspaper usually to get their breaking news. As a result, newspapers become a vehicle for a different kind of information, explanation, detailed background, and as a result, writing has become even more important, writing skills. You can no longer make it as a reporter simply by being a person who can gather facts and do that well. You have to be able to present them coherently, in a conversational manner, in an entertaining way, so that the actual writing aspect of being a reporter has become even more important, and those skills need to be honed. And so what we try to do at the School of Journalism as well is train people to be writers as well as reporters, because that has changed, and I think probably Mike and Bob would agree that those skills are essential now because of the changing nature of newspapers.
Is that something you work on in the writing program?
Absolutely. We emphasize to our students that being a good writer, and besides being a good reporter, is essential to get a job and to be competitive in the field now.
Sure. You were talking about competition in the field, and Michelle, what skills do you call upon in your job? Like, for instance, if you were talking to high school students or college students just beginning, what kind of things would they want to learn? Or
well, writing skills are very important for my position also, simply because I'm also writing ads. I do contest rules. I write the column, everything, proposals. When I go and talk to sponsors, I have to give them things. Writing skills are important for any job in journalism, I think. Also communication skills, being able to go in and give presentations and talk to people. It's a little nerve-wracking, and I'm still not used to it after 3 years, but it's something that is very important and will get you a lot further, being able to communicate well, both written and orally.
So each day, it sounds like you're called upon to do a wide variety of different things. I guess I want to backtrack a little bit with you, Bob. Is the photography, has the technology changed that position?
Technology's had a tremendous impact, and most of it for the good. The quality level of the images we're able to produce today is substantially better, particularly in terms of doing color photography. I got in this field about 20 years ago and worked for a newspaper at the time that was one of the first dailies in the country doing color on a regular basis. Today, virtually all daily newspapers are doing color on a regular basis. I have seen, just as Mike talked about the output technology in printing, I have seen a tremendous change in the photographic technology. Today, we're still using conventional film cameras, but all of our picture handling is done digitally through a Macintosh computer. Once we process the film, there is no prints, which always disappoints people calling into the paper wanting to get some free pictures. But all of our picture handling is done digitally. Surprisingly, it's become more important for photographers also to have good writing skills, because we are not only doing captions, we are oftentimes, as I said, the only journalist from our paper at the scene. And so it's not only important for us to have good photographic skills, but also to have the skills to gather basic information and come back with that can then be used by perhaps a co-worker to gather the story or finish the story. And hand in hand with that is that our reporters today need to have a good visual awareness. Many reporters, again, because there's a greater number of reporters than there are photographers, we count on them to clue us into good visual possibilities in the stories that they're covering. For the promotion of the newspaper, there's an important element of having visual awareness in terms of designing advertisements and designing the promotional materials you use. So you need a complete package of skills to succeed in the journalism field, in any area of it. Mike talks about editors who are paginating, assembling pages together. The knowledge of graphic design and the principles of effective graphics are very important for those people, as well as being able to accurately edit the copy and to place the pictures on the page.
Well, we also want to congratulate you on your nomination for the, was it the Pulitzer Prize?
The Pulitzer Prize nominee in 1980, which sort of sounds like ancient history of the day.
But you say Pulitzer Prize, that sounds
Well,
it.
I'm the only photographer from West Virginia who's ever been nominated, and it was quite an honor. The photographs were a series taken at a hostage incident in St. Albans, West Virginia, where a gunman took a church congregation hostage so that he could make a protest against the government. I was able to exchange myself for a couple of his hostages, help negotiate a successful completion to the incident, let him use me as a shield when he gave himself up to the police. But it was the opportunity to go into a situation again and cover it and get, in this case, what proved to be a rather remarkable set of pictures. But it's not the kind of thing you encourage people to do on a daily basis.
It doesn't sound like a typical day, but
no, but again,
who knows?
as I said before, there are very few typical days for a photojournalist.
Sure. Well, Mike, since you kind of oversee a lot of different areas of the newspaper in your experience, what would you think would be important for high school students thinking about this field?
Well, I think they have to have an interest in writing. And I don't know if Chris has seen this in her career, but it seems like with the internet and with computers and all this, that the kids sometimes think that they don't have to know grammar or sentence structure or know the basics of writing, but I think it's becoming more important, not less. And these are skills that you're going to need in any profession, and they're very basic, and you better learn them in high school, and you better pay attention, and particularly if you're interested in writing, learn those basic skills, because you're going to have them in college. And you're going to be challenged in college, and you get in journalism school, they're going to want you to know what you're talking about and how to do it. And then, of course, when you come into the arena of on the job, you don't want to be there with half your ammunition. You want to be there fully prepared, and we don't want you there not fully prepared. And of course, a lot of editors and administrative people will say, well, you get these students sometimes, and they get the degree, and they think, well, this entitles them to the job, and it's just not that way anymore. It's very, very competitive. And I think a basic interest in writing, though, you have to like what you're doing, like in any job. And if you like to communicate, and if you like to write, I encourage you to do so, and I encourage you to do it a lot, and write a lot.
And it seems like there's opportunities all the way through the school system, from public school to college, to do this.
Yes.
I mean, is that what you found when you have students coming into the school of journalism, that they've already maybe been in their school paper? Or?
Many of them have, and certainly the students who most succeed in college and most succeed in finding a job after college are students who began working on newspapers or doing internships with magazines or newspapers or any kind of media field in high school, in college. We don't demand that students have internships, but we tell them that they will need at least 2 to 3 to get a good job. And we also help to facilitate internships at the School of Journalism. I work as a writing coach in the summers, newspapers throughout West Virginia and some newspapers, well, in Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. And part of that job helps me to make contacts with newspapers throughout the state and the tri-state area, and then that helps us to place graduates, but also to find internships for our students. We also have other channels of internships for students in the various tracks, but we encourage students and help to facilitate students to find internships because they're essential. As Mike said, most students who don't have them can't get a job. You have to begin practical experience, hopefully in high school on your school paper or yearbook, and then throughout your college years.
What does a writing coach do? You mentioned something about that during the summer.
I go to newspapers usually for 3 to 4 days, and I do group seminars with professional reporters, giving them a chance to talk about their work and what they do, and refreshing and renewing in energy and motivation. And then I do one-on-one coaching sessions with reporters, talking to them about specific work that they've done. It's great work for me. I learn a lot from these and take a lot of it back to the classrooms. It gets me out in the working newsrooms, and so it's invaluable to me as a teacher, and hopefully useful to them as well. I was just at Bob's paper a few weeks ago.
See, they of course didn't let the photographers talk to you, but our writers were tremendously impressed with Chris's program and felt it was very helpful, and I think it was, among other things, a real good morale boost for our people to get a little bit of coaching, a little bit of support from the administration of the newspaper.
Right. Well, I'd like to say that today we've heard about careers in print journalism, and I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the related occupations to print journalism, such as advertising copywriters, public relations workers, editors, technical writers, and educational writers, just to mention a few. I would also like to thank my guests today for being with us. And also, if you're interested in careers in print journalism, you might want to try doing some informational interviews. Go out there and talk to people who are in the field, who are working. Ask them how they got into it. What was their academic preparation? What do they do in a typical day? You might want to volunteer or get involved in your high school paper or your college paper or yearbook. And you might want to enroll in an academic program for print journalism. For additional information related to careers in print journalism, visit your public library, your local career planning and placement center, or your school guidance counselor. For more information on academic programs at WVU in print journalism, call the School of Journalism 304-293-3505.
Hello, I'm David Hardesty, President of West Virginia University. I hope that the preceding Career Corner program was informative. To learn more about any of the career options and programs offered by West Virginia University and its regional campuses that were covered during this or any other episode, please call 1-800-344-9881 or write to the address shown on the screen.